Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Pallet of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer 40k Combat Patrol magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and of course, drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys, and it really does go a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week we are on issue 32 of good old Combat Patrol magazine. It's a paint issue, so it's nothing super special. However, the paints we get are going to be very handy. So first off, we have Ork Flesh. As you can imagine, this is a green paint. It's going to come in very handy when we get the Orks during this magazine's run. You'll use it in a few other little places here and there as well, but you're not going to use it super often, I would imagine. But yeah, very handy for the Orks, which is the main thing. With a green shade over the top of it, even better. So should be really good fun. The other paint we get is a shade paint. So we get Reikland Fleshshade. As you can imagine, this is a fleshy tone, which used over Rakhar Flesh, Wraithbone or Korax White gives you that kind of fleshy kind of tone, you know? It gives you a fleshy tone. You can use it over things like your reds and golds as well. Now, the thing with using it over gold is it gives it a very warm gold kind of look and changes it entirely and gives you a very different look to your gold. So if you layer over any of the gold, say like the Aquillas on the chest of the Space Marines, if you haven't already kind of covered with a null oil or anything like that, and then highlight back over with gold, it works very nicely. So it's a very decent colour to have in your paint arsenal. So I must admit, I do quite like that paint and I do use it from time to time, especially on golds, because it gives it a nice kind of a old gold kind of ready hue. So going into the magazine, obviously it's a paint issue. We get a how to paint guide, so updating your mini. So obviously using Reikland Fleshshade over gold, which is exactly what I said, works very well. So it's entirely up to you how you want to go about using it. If you want a darker look, use Norn oil, but if you want that kind of bright, vibrant kind of gold look, going over with Reikland Fleshshade makes it very nice. And obviously touch up with gold Retributor armor straight after, and edge highlighting with a little tiny bit of Stormhost silver does real good stuff. So it's worth a nosy at. You can use it in other places as well, so you can obviously use it on all the gold areas. You can use it over yellows, which does work. I'm never always 100% convinced by it, but it does work, and it can work. So using it over things like flesh as well, it does work very well, and gives you that kind of very pale peachy kind of tone. Obviously, if you double up on it, it's going to get redder and redder. You can use it over things like your Tyranids. You can use it in a few other places. But yeah, there's ways and means of making it look really good with certain things. You can use it over things like the heat shields and stuff like that for the good old chaplain on bike, and the guards on the pyre blasters and stuff like that. Yeah, and it will work very well. So it's not too bad, and it can do a very good job. The Ork Flesh, in all honesty, has not been used in this issue. Now, I think this is just because they are getting the paints out of the way, ready for more of the minis later on. So that kind of gives it a bit of explanation. Obviously, with things like any of your Space Marines have got buttons and dials and stuff like that, or anything like that, or if you've got other minis and kits where you may want to use a little dot of green to give them a bit of a kind of a different colour or hue, you can do so, but it's entirely up to you. But otherwise, you know, save it for a rainy day later on. Moving on, we get a bit of a read section about the Long War and more to do with the Chaos Space Marines. So, over many thousands of years, the galaxy has felt the malice of Chaos Space Marines, who see their battles as part of a single long war against their enemies. Though their actions are not centrally coordinated, they nonetheless see each of them as part of the effort to win the victory that ought to have been theirs so long ago. So, following their defeat at the Siege of Terra, the Chaos Space Marine legions fled into the Eye of Terror, where they knew loyalist forces would not follow them. In this nightmarish hellscape, the warp overlaps with the material universe, and supernatural energies twist and distort the very fabric of reality. In such a place, madness reigns and the laws of physics are meaningless. Even time itself is subject to the whims of the dark gods, and while 10,000 years have elapsed since the end of the Horus heresy, for those within the Eye of Terror it may only have been a few centuries, years, or even days. As a result, many of the Chaos Space Marines that wage war on the Imperium today are the very same traitors who fought against the Emperor millennia ago. So, it gives us a bit of a breakdown of how the Chaos Space Marines see things and how the realm of chaos and the warp completely distorts everything. So, kind of like how the realm of the Chaos Wastes and stuff like that in Warhammer the Old World distorts reality. So if you ever read any of the Gotrek and Felix novels, I believe it's Demon Slayer, where they actually travel to the Chaos Wastes in search of, I want to say Carrick Dunn. I may be wrong on that, and I may have got my dwarf holds mixed up. But they go in search of this ancient dwarf hold to find the Hammer of Firebeard, and it turns out them dwarves are still alive, although they have been trapped in the Chaos Wastes for more than 200 years. They believe it's only been something like 20, because that's how chaos works, and chaos distorts the reality around it. So, pretty cool, pretty interesting, and it's a weird way of time travel, really, isn't it? Kind of, almost, maybe. Then you get a bit of more information on there as well, so you get a little bit of stuff down here as well, so you get some pretty cool images of different minis you're going to be able to get for the different ranges of the Chaos Legions and Space Marines themselves. So you've got things like the Captain in Phobos armor, which is very similar to the Captain in Phobos armor that you see in Space Marine 2. You've got veterans of the First Company. You have the Apothecary, which generally tends to be a white-clad kind of healer type. Also looks pretty cool. I must admit, I do really like that mini. I think it's super cool. And then you got things like the heavily armoured aggressors and such like that, going up against things like your kind of Chaos Lords, who are obviously champions of Chaos, the Chosen, and things like the Warp Smiths, and even the Possessed, who are completely blended with Demons of Chaos as well. So, pretty cool stuff. Then we move on. We get information to do with the different traitor legions, because obviously there is not just one traitor legion. There are few. So, the traitor legions are the sworn enemies of the Emperor and the Imperium. In the thousands of years that they have fought, each has developed their own culture, drawn from their former identities as Imperial legions, but corrupted by their bitterness and by exposure to the taint of chaos. So I'm not going to read it all of that bit, but we are going to have a bit of talk about the Alpha Legion, which I must admit, I quite like. I quite like the Alpha Legion. I like their colour scheme more than anything, I think. So the Alpha Legion are seasoned warriors who place subtlety and misdirection at the forefront of their plans. So masterful is their use of psychological warfare that none are truly sure whether reports of their deeds are fully accurate, or whether they are lies and rumours deliberately spread to mislead enemies as to the Alpha Legion's tactics and capabilities. And as I say, they do have one of the coolest looks. So, pretty cool stuff there. You've got the Word Bearers, who are also pretty cool, and the Word Bearers are fanatical followers of Chaos Undivided. Most of their campaigns have religious motivations, and they will fight to the last soldier to spread chaos as far across the galaxy as they can. Then you get a bit of information about the Iron Warriors. So the Iron Warriors are expert siege troops who use attrition and heavy weapons to overcome enemy forces. They are not as devout as many traitor legions, having betrayed the Imperium more from their feelings of being used and neglected by the Imperium than from any devotion to a chaos god. So they are chaos, but they're not fully devoted to chaos. Then you have the Night Lords. The Night Lords is one of my favourite factions, and I genuinely really think they're cool. So, the Night Lords are raiders and pirates who seek power and riches above all else. They are experts at sowing terror and confusion amongst their foes, and they revel in the fear of others. Before engaging the enemy head on, skies are darkened by ash clouds and infernal screams ring out over Vox networks, weakening the resolve of their adversaries. It is then that they strike in vicious assaults. And they have some pretty cool looks. So they have some that really cool kind of dark midnight blue kind of like armor with gold, and they've got talons and stuff like that. Yeah, they're pretty cool. I do quite like them. Then we have a read section giving us a bit more information about the Silver Templars and giving us a bit more kind of story behind them. So it's pretty cool. It is Bonds of Honor Part 8. So I must admit, I'm not 100% up to date with it all. I haven't read all of it, so I'm not even going to try and spoil it for myself because I don't think that'll be very, very wise. But I'll get around to it eventually. Then we move on. We get more of our basic rules and the core rules. So we get the shooting phase. So if you don't already know, obviously the game is split into several different phases. And you're going to need the shooting phase as well, which comes after your hero phase, a movement phase, and such like that. Obviously, you get to select targets. You can utilize different little bits and pieces, and you're using ranged attacks for your shooting. And there is a way of doing stealth and such like that. So it's always worth having a really, really good read through all of the core rules before you start playing bigger games. If you're just playing combat patrols and such like that, you don't necessarily need to know everything in here, but it can help so you're not having to refer as often to the scenario and guide and such like that. So it's worth having a nosy through. Then we have a play. So this is all to do with Strands of Fate. So you're going to get different fate dice. You can, in all honesty, I know of a few places that sell fate dice. You don't have to find them, in all honesty. You can kind of utilise them in different ways. Otherwise, though, you can just utilise normal dice for your fates and such like that. It is a different way of doing it, but you can. There's a way of doing everything, essentially. And then you've got your scenario. So the scenario, Strands of Fate, using, obviously, Infernus Marines, Captain and Librarian going up against Wind Riders, Wraithlord, Farseer, and the Guardian Defenders. Pretty cool stuff. So Space Marines versus aeldari, because Space Marines will fight anything that's a Xenos threat, essentially. So really cool stuff. I've not played it yet, so I will have a try at that in the near future. But otherwise, pretty cool. You get to have a little bit of fun, and obviously you can play it in multiple different ways. So it's definitely worth having a try, and try both combat patrols, try the aeldari combat patrol, try the Space Marine, see which one you prefer. Going on from there though, next week and the week after, issues 33 and 34, parts 1 and 2 of our Chaos Space Marine Legionaries, which are pretty cool as you can tell here. So we're going to get 10 of these bad boys. They all look more unique. They're not very, very generic. They all have something slightly different about them. So this will be really, really good stuff. And yeah, these are your kind of more generic Chaos Space Marine troops. So pretty cool stuff. We also find more information about the Black Legion and different attacks as well. So definitely worth having a read through. Definitely worth picking up, because these minis will be pretty cool, and happy days. When it comes to painting these minis, well, I will say, as I have said probably far too many times now on this channel, spray paint is your friend. Do not worry about using spray paint. Build your mini, put them on the base, get yourself a spray stick if you want to, and get yourself some, I don't know whether you want to use a Baden Black or Chaos Black spray paint from GW. You can get the good old Colourforge alternatives, so it's definitely worth having a look at those, which you can get from things like Element Games and Wayland Games. Affiliate links in the description down below before we jump out of that one. And or you can, in all honesty, get some cheaper spray paint from places like B&M or Halfords. Just be very, very careful with it, because some of them are slightly stronger and not very good for plastic. So you want one that can be good for plastic. So have a good read if you can. And obviously you will need to make sure you are an adult, or you have an adult with you who can buy the spray paint for you if you're a kid. But otherwise, that's it. Thank you very, very much for watching, and yeah, we'll be back sometime soon. Bye bye now.